Hello, welcome to the Wandering Isles. My name is Ken. I will be your dungeon master for this evening. I'm joined today by Richard in not his usual place because we had little time to just alter the cameras. We have Richard playing Slate. We have Ryan with that fantastic fucking beard playing a Madriana. We have Rory playing Eos, and we have Busy playing Hatsu. I saw in chat, and I tackle it right away. Who made our intro? Because we do get that question a lot. Mr. Rory worked with myself, and we had a little bit of help from Mr. Busy as well. We did it all together, collective, and we put together that fantastic intro. There's a longer version on YouTube if you're ever interested. It has the precursor to this campaign, and we love it very much. It still makes me very happy to see it. So, yeah, good question. Thank you so much. We are missing Kian tonight. He is in chat, but we're looking forward to having him back hopefully next week.
We're not going to miss Dash, though, with our blades.
Nope. Oh, the only person actually who misses, ironically, is Dash. So, but on that note, Rory, I believe you're on recap today because Kian skipped his responsibilities.
I am indeed. How dare you? Anywho, so as we walk into this strange, unusual building, Eos is thinking to herself, questions among answers, to which more questions arose. Some are shallow, some are deep. Yet none would answer what it is that we all seek. What is heaven? The moon, it was so bright. It lit up the entire sky, yet this was not night. Words and pages. I turned the page and yearned for more. Letters which carried depth to make the dream seem more real than I truly believed. Have I actually seen heaven? Has anyone ever really been there? Is this world hell, or are we below or above it all? The journey we have traveled, the lands we have traversed, has raised more questions than any answers which have been given. The only reliable source has been the words on these very pages in front of me. A story of old, but its weight grasps my very being, like a noose around my neck, yet again. This is supposed to be a village of wolf people, yet they are more resemblant and more human than I could ever believe. It is so clear, but it feels so wrong. Letting my skin be seen, being embraced by its light. Who are we to truly know where we are to live? We will bring back this Moonbane elixir, and I will search for more answers, to which I will ask more questions.
You enter a large, beautiful, ornate hut filled with lycanthrope creatures, and sitting at the front, twice the size of any other in this building, sits Wulver, almost in a bored stance within his throne, as he looks upon the new guests to enter his home. In this regard, it might be good that you don't have Kian here. You then stand a chance at survival. My friends, what do you want to do today?
You know, walk through the crowd, or through the... I'm guessing, was it like 2 rows of like seating, people talking?
Talking and
mead
loud.
Hall.
Yeah, like it's a mead hall. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, we're talking mead hall.
Great term for it, 100%.
Okay, mead hall. Okay.
And it's like the quality of something that Busy would build in Valheim. Like it's good quality mead hall too. Like it's awesome.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Only
so,
do that.
Yeah.
Amadiana's gonna walk straight up through the middle of the 2 benches with people sitting on, and kind of up to this person we're meant to be meeting. Stay about 5 to 6 feet away from the bottom stair or wherever he's sitting. Hello. We've been sent here by Remington. I'm sure you're aware of our presence and what we're doing here. It's nice to meet you.
It might help when we introduce with our names. name is Toshitsugu Hatsu. And he bows down like a little bit.
Hi, I'm what they call me Eos. Pleasure to meet you.
Is Slate's still a child?
Yeah. No, he changed out of it.
Oh, right.
He changed out of it.
I did. So I'm just gonna nod.
Dash will go to speak, and Madriana will stop him. if Lissa hasn't already.
So, around you is a lot of shapes of different creatures you've probably never seen before in any circumstances, but at the same time, the one in the front is heavily armored. He's built for this. Like, this is the form that he chooses. This is the way that he chooses to present himself. Slate, I would say you would pick up on this more so, and maybe a Madriana. This is probably because this is the protector of this place, and it's his responsibility to do so. So having the biggest possible presence he can is probably important. Generally speaking, if he needs to go on a moment's notice, he's ready to go on a moment's notice. So for him to change his form would be strange. Not something suited to the situation that you're in. But nonetheless, what you see first, this large hulking entity covered in fur with a dog face. The ears pricked up, clearly listening to you. It's quite quick for his form to change. He becomes smaller in doing so. Taller than all of you, broader than all of you. A large person sits on this throne regardless. No less intimidating than the dog that was before. Piercing blue eyes, hair slicked back, the squarest jawline you've probably ever seen, except maybe in an Incredibles movie or something. Expendables movie, I should say. He looks towards you, and what looked like a ferocious face now is just a calming smile. My name is Eodund, but you can call me Wulver. So you are the compatriots that Remington sent?
We are here to safely return with the item of which it's said that you are going to be able to give us.
I am disappointed not to see Remington. But if he sent you, I believe in your worth. Are you hungry?
I'm sure we could do with some sustenance and maybe some warmth. That would be most gracious of you.
What was billowing noise behind you of people talking and being rambunctious and boisterous has become a very hushed silence. Everybody's listening to every word he's saying and every word you're saying. It's complete concentration. He goes to speak and then he leans back, and instead he looks towards two of the wolves that are on the right, and he just sort of gestures for them to come forward, and they do, and he just whispers something softly. Madriana, you'd pick up on it as just fetch 2 tables. Without words, they just go. They come back, and under arm they have these big tables, and they're holding chairs and doing things that are abnormal in strength, but seem quite normal here. 2 tables are placed before. There's enough chairs for all of you. There's nothing on the tables yet, but it seems safe enough to take a seat.
Remington does, of course, send his regards and his apologies that he couldn't come along. There has been a number of incidents that he's unfortunately had to turn his focus to.
He nods and tell me of your journey.
Well, actually, that's quite an interesting story, and hopefully some of which you may have some answers for.
His eyes kind of open a little wider. Not necessarily in like just surprise, but just interest. Like he's taking your words and he's very interested in them, yeah.
We were obviously traveling here and come across a few different what seemed to be wastelands, explosive outpours, I guess you would say, churning up the ground and obviously destroying what was quite a bit of wildlife and woodland. I'm sure that didn't make for easy news for you guys. My colleagues here also faced off against a man that turned into a flaming creature.
He leans forward slightly, leaning on the side of the chair in interest. I would say roll an insight check for me.
What I'd like to do while this is happening is take out my Dreamweaver's lute and just walk quietly up beside him, Adriana, and just play a really quiet tune, keeping in time with what he's talking about, to give images to depict what he's talking about as he introduces new characters and new places. I'm going to use the Dreamweaver's lute to,
Nice.
make that image appear.
Yes.
If there's any checks for that, I'll give him advantage then on that one.
I did roll a 5, but I'm going to use my inspiration to re-roll it.
Okay, go ahead, yeah.
Which is much better at a 15.
Okay, 15. There's a likelihood that he hasn't heard of what you're talking about before, but that he has... I don't know if that's the right phrasing. This news seems new to him. Probably be the right way to put that.
Mm.
However, in line with you telling someone, like if you were to tell anyone in any town that you went to, the likelihood is they wouldn't believe you. They would think you're a psychopath or making shit up or whatever, or you're talking about an actual raised threat and are wondering why you haven't contacted the crisis response unit yet, that kind of thing. In this case, he fully seems to believe you. He believes in the conviction and everything you're saying, your tone. He's not doubting you. It's just surprising in some capacity to him.
And yes, so then we travel forth to this place. Well, I say I unfortunately was called away. My friends here helped in Dagthorpe. Helped one of the tavern owners. Our good friend Hatsu here, I believe, was the main person to suggest that help. And she kind of opens it up to Hatsu to regale with what happened.
Well, I think we learned from Remington that sometimes it's better to try to make allies in a way that we can show them a world-worth place for all creatures, not only for the ones that think they are the majority. have you been and noticed that there might be an old ritual site under the one of the tunnels that leads towards the volcano? I think they are dedicated to the unnamed one.
He leans back in his chair. This is a lot of information. Where did you find these tunnels?
Right when we started to explore this island, we came from the south, and we have a card we can show you if you want.
Let's be clear, you have a slart.
Slot, yeah.
I also have a map from previous that we talked about, so I'm going to take out the map and point on the map where we're talking about. Obviously, take breaks from playing to highlight on the map, and then go back to what I was doing, playing again, so they can see where we're talking about.
We could convince the creatures that were also kind of living in the entrance area of the tunnels to befriend us. Might be too strong, but they trusted us to let us pass their domain to further investigate the tunnels. And that's where we found a lot of equipment from researchers, we think, maybe from the what is that company called?
The
Megaverse something.
Yes. The research center by the volcano. I'm sure you're aware of it.
Where we did find the old ancient tables that looked like places where you would offer something to a god.
You have seen a lot on your journey.
For how barren and snow-covered this area is, there seems to be a lot to see.
Wulver leans forward and he calls two people over. It's quite quick the way they're speaking, but you're picking up on most of it. It's not lost on you or anything. It's not a secret that he's trying to keep from you. He's speaking to Lucian and Jareth, and he's telling them to prepare as they will go and investigate the things that you're reporting. He thinks 2 should be enough, and they will leave in the morning.
If you are to investigate these tunnels, when you get further down, don't go in the water. There's something much larger down there that even these third creatures that we came across were terrified by.
This we know. He looks around the room, and he moves his hand out, and he just lowers it, and suddenly there's almost this bone-crunching sound. It's very hard to describe, like the sound of 1,000 people cracking their knuckles at once. It's just this cracking and creaking as everyone's form changes to more human nature.
May I ask why you did that? If it's not impolite.
Comfort for you. It's easier to talk.
The talk, I understand. As for the comfort, I'm sure my friend Eos here, and I know myself, as I stretch the wings out, because it's the first time she's been able to do it in ages properly, like really stretch it to the point. I was hoping to be a bit more comfortable, if I'd be honest.
You're safe here, both of you.
When he says that, Eos drops her kind of normal visage. She relaxes. She looks less clean kept as she normally would be. Some wrinkles appear in her face. Her complexion just adjusts slightly. as if she's back in the tower.
Nice. One of the first people you kind of take note of is Lucian, as he sort of leans in and starts looking at the map and trying to track this information that Slate was providing. He has his hood up, but he has scars everywhere, this kind of jagged beard. He's covered in bandages, his fingers, his arms, his wrists, anything you can see. He's very lean, athletic. He has a stronger build than Rowan, who you met last week, but he looks like he could run and run and run and run and run. Like, he just looks built. The other one, Jareth, he is a lot stronger and slower looking, more steady. He looks like someone who, you see the figure of someone who can climb mountains and climbs rocks and stuff, and their upper body is very built, but also lifting weights and doing different things. Mm-hmm. He's bald and more an older figure than Lucian would be, but he, through all of that seasoned experience, looks like the kind of person who could make this journey in a quarter of the time that you guys did. Like, he would know every route, everything. The way he's pointing at the map, the way he's talking, the things that he's describing, and the questions that he has all seem focused on him being a very, very seasoned tracker. Yeah.
So he's like SAS type.
Yeah. That'd be a good way of looking at it, yeah.
May I suggest something? We already reported to Mr. Remington what we have seen, and the Arcanum is already researching these creatures that seem to be with magical properties. So it might help Mr. Remington if we could exchange some of the information.
Wulver nods and says he'll link Remington in all of this as well. When he has information to give, he will give it. This is purely just for knowledge of what's going on in the area, and he appreciates you letting him know. It's not a lot of people that come here, and those that do, the limited amount of information they have is dependent on them going out and getting it. So this is a nice, refreshing change for them.
Furthermore, we've got allies in the area. Orla, you're likely drawn into her. And it takes some time to explain what she looks like, so if they find her, that she patrols the area as a local guardian to the local town, and explain, our interactions and what's happened thus far, removing the bodies, taking them back, helping the populace, the fact that she hunts, etc. So they're likely to bump into her, and that she is friendly to us, and her only interest is, looking after the local populace. So she shouldn't be a danger if handled correctly, and vice versa. So they shouldn't need to clash.
You can also refer to us if you meet her. She will understand.
One of the older men in the back scoffs, and Wulver is like, Eldrick? Problem? And Eldrick, a much older gentleman, gray hair, short, leans forward and he's like, yeah, I know the hunter. She's not my taste.
I think
understand your position, good sir. But we also got taught that if we want to make these things change, we have to find ways to make people change their minds as well. And we think she's on her way. So don't judge too early, maybe. If you can.
He laughs and he just sort of leans forward and he's like, yeah, that's real cute, kid.
You have to remember, the same as anything, kids are taught certain things, usually by scared, stupid people. Unfortunately, because of these things they're taught, they also grow up to be scared, stupid people. You have to give them a little bit of time to understand that isn't the case. I'm not saying she is redeemable. I'm just saying that she's not completely without hope.
One of the other guys who's at a different table leans forward. Yeah, look, if there's one thing we have in abundance, it's time. Time doesn't make a fucking difference. Stupid people will always be stupid people.
But that's where you lead by example, right?
He just sort of scoffs and looks back down at the table. He doesn't maintain eye contact anymore.
I think they're not only stupid, I think they're most likely scared. They tend to be scared of things they can't understand.
That's... Wulver leans forward as he's speaking. That's why we do what we do. We take care of the things that they don't understand.
And that's why a lot of us, at least the non-stupid ones of us at the school, are trying to change the world so that these things are natural to be accepted, not feared or judged. One monster shouldn't tarnish everyone. But anyway, that's a long-term goal. This elixir, how is this going to help?
The elixir is an early beginning. The way things work around here, we choose them. We choose those who transform. But not everybody is that fortunate. And this would be a cure to a life that they don't want to live.
I understand. Did one choose this life? How does that start?
The
He
life
was just gazing at him, Adrian. It's just like,
the life chosen isn't the only requirement. There's a life proven. Prove yourself worthy of this life, and that you won't be a burden for the next few hundred years that you walk this lovely aisle. And then maybe it's something worth considering and worth taking. Not just anyone deserves. And he sort of looks down at his hand and he says this, and as he does, it transforms into like a more claw shape. The fur comes out again, and then it redacts itself again, showing that he has a very high level of control over this ability.
Versus burdens. As she says that, her wings kind of gently, like, sway. We all have them to bear. Sometimes it's worth it.
Sometimes it isn't. A long life leads to incredible mental strain. fatigue, exasperation. You don't want to be a few 100 years old and grow sick of the people that you swear to protect.
Have you?
Not yet. But there are some, even in this room. It happens. You just need to find that spark, that glimmer that reminds you of what you're doing here.
Don't be surprised if I may revisit you one day.
If that's what you choose, so be it, but be warned. The price is heavy, especially if you like those wings of yours. Lycanthropy has a way of overcorrecting. So it makes certain things go away, and it gives you certain new abilities and features. And for quite a while, it is very difficult to control. Only the strongest of will can really take the burden.
Then I'm glad these people have you for their leader.
There's the faintest hint of a smile at that comment.
I'll raise whatever mug or whatever we've been given as a drink as a toast to the leader.
Dash leans forward to do the same, and Lissa just kind of nudges him and he sits back. Then Wulver nods towards you, and he holds up like there's nothing in his hand, it's like just air, but he mimics your action and does it in response. And with that, the doors open in behind him on the left, and a few other wolves come out from the kitchen. They look around and see that everybody's in sort of human form, and they change shape, and they hold food in their hands, and they start placing it down at the tables. They go and get a few more plates for you guys, and it's pretty much what you would expect from hunters. It is meat, but real meat. It is vegetables, but it is real vegetables. There's no magic here. Not to do this. This is homegrown, like hand-hunted. This is authentic.
Quick question. When they change from their wolf form, especially these guys that bring the food out, when they change from their wolf form to their human form, do they seem to get any weaker? Or any, like, is there any change of, like, it's gone from, oh, I'm carrying this to, this is a little bit heavier. Like, is there any physicality changes between it other than visual?
I'll say make an insight check, but it's like the cusp of an insight check. It's just the best I can think of to lean into here.
Okay. Please, not 20. Come on. Nope. Forget about it.
7. Here's what I'll say. When they change form, they don't seem as slowed by it as you would expect. That's probably the least amount of information I can give you about it.
Yeah.
Like, you would notice that at the very least. Even if, like, if you were just thinking it, looking at someone, you would pick up on the very base level information. But whether or not that is definitive or not, I can't give you.
Yeah, that's fair.
Can I ask a similar question, but from a different perspective? So from my perspective, I can change for a different reason, but I can change my limbs, just like Wulver showed he did. It takes control and practice, but for different reasons. And obviously, I'm able to do it at will. And, you know, you're talking about the transformation. Does their transformation seem more explosive, painful, or is it similar to mine? Did you know what I'm trying to ask?
Your transformation is and this is just my humble opinion on this, you can correct me if you see it differently, because I believe it's what you see that matters here more. But I believe yours is more fluid. You just take the shape of something and your body adapts to that and grows and changes, and it's not as visceral as it is with the wolves. They are I don't know if I would say that it hurts them, but it's their bodies physically changing shape. It's not just an adaptation to a shape. Like you're in my head more like Play-Doh, where you can mold and adapt and change. They are physically, if they get bigger, their bones get bigger. It's like a big thing. Yeah,
that's why I meant kind of more explosive, more painful. Yeah. Because from how I see it, it's more physical, the change.
And you can audibly hear it. I would imagine there's no sound to your transformation. I don't hear it in my head whenever you transform.
Yeah.
For them, I do.
Perfect. That's it. Just a curiosity.
Yeah. One thing that I will say that, Adriana, again, I'll lean into yourself for this with your high stats for this. If you're monitoring behavior, they are bonded like family. They are a pack, essentially. Like, they almost know what's coming without reacting, in the same way that you would when you've been around your siblings for a long time, or you've been around your family for a long time. Someone comes behind you with a plate, you kind of already feel what's happening, you know how to respond, to react. It's that kind of fluidity that leans into it, that you know that these people really care about each other, even though they seem like the kind of like, it seems like a pack of like rangers or like military kind of SEALs, you know, like a tightly bonded military group. It feels like that, like they can just do things, but at the same time there is just a softness to that as well. Like they know each other on a very, very deep level.
So it's more like canine in that sense, that it's that, you know, close-knit, like I'm protecting your back kind of thing. Gotcha.
Yeah. And I'd say each one would respect that the other one has their back too. Like they each know where they fall in line with that. I don't have a very good life quality assessment of that, but I can tell you from video games and stuff, it's like when you guys run the same raids 100 times and you know how each person's going to react, what each person's going to do, and you just do it. And that's what this is. It's just a group of people who just do it because they know what each of them are supposed to do.
The muscle memory. We know where we are with each other.
Not only are they specialists at what they do, which is obvious to the untrained eye, but also obvious, there's a hierarchy and an acceptance of their roles that nobody questions. Again, like military, that when they're given a command or something to do, they just do, and they all rely on that from each other, that they just do, which is what makes everything happen.
Yeah. Okay. Does there seem to be so obviously there was him, there was the two guys he called up, but does he you said he doesn't have guards, he sits there up on his own, but does it seem like we have like we'll say like a sergeant or a major, you know, someone that's a direct link from him and like near us? I'm assuming they'd be at the closest table to him, so
so I mean the main thing, like you have different how do I put this? Yes is the answer, but they have different jobs, responsibilities, roles, and it sort of seems linked to not just age, because that's not massively a factor, but you can almost tell. So we'll say 10, 15, 20 minutes goes by, you guys are eating, they're all eating, they're doing their different things. Wulver's not eating, but they're all doing their own things. And the responses and the way they would communicate, if Wulver asks a question, they like, even over the chattering crowd, whoever he's talking to can hear him, picks up on that and responds, and he can clearly hear it too. It's difficult for you guys. It seems very easy to them. They can just focus on specific sounds, and that is something that's innately them, right?
Yeah.
But these guys are like, they're all falling in line the way you would expect, for example, a military to fall in line with or something. There is a sense of authority from certain figures that you get from the people around them. But to what extent they would be, I can't give you. That's the part that I'm stuck on, is like what ranking and stuff I can't give you. But there is a sense of more authority from some figures than others. Yeah, that's probably the easiest way to say it. Sorry, that's a very long-winded way of getting there.
Seniority kind of thing, I get you. Not necessarily in age, but in ability and stuff,
Yeah. The other thing that sort of stands out around the room, to go into that a little bit, I mean, everything is carved and beautiful. There's a few things, like along the walls next to the windows are what look like almost, I don't want to call it a mosaic because it's not the word. It's like something like that. It's like it's carved into the wall, but it depicts some kind of story, if that makes sense.
Like a tapestry.
Kind of like a tapestry would be, but it's a carving, yeah.
Yeah.
Above his chair is a symbol of what looks like a wolf-like face, but with almost fire instead of fur lines. So it's like that seems to be their symbol or their emblem or whatever. And underneath it is words that you can't quite read, but Rory, I believe Eos speaks Runic.
She does indeed.
That would be, it says Lunar Kin. That's what they call themselves. Along the walls, there's a few stories that are depicted. Some show the emblem of transformation. So you can see half a man and half a wolf is carved in, showing the presence of both, which is clearly important to them. But the one that stands out the most is the only one that has any drop of color, and it's red. But you get the feeling just looking at it that the way it is, it doesn't look like paint. The only thing you see dry like this is potentially blood. So somebody really cared about this. It is depicting what looks like a wolf figure that is hunched over in pain, grabbing its head, and above it is a red moon. And the red moon is where the blood would be used to color it. It's showing and depicting some sort of response to the crimson moon that you guys have seen already. People, like, they're all eating. This is their home. They're used to it. They've seen it a million times. They probably don't even see it anymore in their peripheral because they know what to expect in this room every single time. But to you, this would be something new. I don't remember what the original question was, but I hope it answered it. I don't know where I went with that.
Whilst we're eating,
yeah,
Eos passively looking around. She sees the Lunarkin thing. That's cute as hell to her. Looks down, eats more, looks back up. The red moon.
Yeah.
She feels a heartbeat in the back of her brain when she sees that. And she wants to ignore it.
Fair.
That's how she's feeling.
There's a rather large guy sitting. They're all large. I don't know why I keep saying that. As if it's different in each of them, but they are all large in their own way. But this dude is just huge. Again, another square-jawed type. And he's sitting in one of the rows, and he's the one that Wulver would glance at the most. His name is Eric Stormrider, A-R-I-C. And you get that because a lot of people are going by him every so often. They'll kind of nod and they'll say Eric or they'll say Stormrider or whatever. It's easy to piece that together. Slate, I'm going to give you something unlocked, a little key memory piece, but not as you would think. This one's actually for Slate. One of the drawings on the walls, murals? Is that the right word? I don't know.
Yeah.
One of the depictions on the walls, the carvings depict a meeting of what looks like Wulver, because he's so large, with a smaller woman. And for some reason at first you're like, I know I've fucking seen this somewhere. Like, it's one of those things, it's just scratching at your brain. And then you realize that this is a meeting of Wulver with the founder of Penzance. In her story, she met a large wolf that saved her life. And this appears to be their depiction of it. An homage to that. So the founder of Penzance at some point had crossed paths with Wulver. And this is the story that you know. Because of that, she built the town of Penzance there. That's why she chose that spot. It was the safest spot, led there by Wulver. And that is so many hundreds of years ago. So it's just something that really stands out to you as quite, quite strange, maybe. I don't even know. But her name was Balrig, Bhalrigg, and she was the founder of Penzance.
What I'd like to do is, because of their hierarchical system and because of the way everything is unfolding, I get the sense that They respect us, but more so only barely. I'm saying they as in a collective group rather than any
Right.
one particular one, because, you know, from Wulver it's more than some others and so on. And obviously we're seen as weaker, slightly inferior. This is the line of thinking that I have from some of the commentary on, you know, the pushback from Orla and so on and so forth. And, you know, from looking at the carvings that depict some of their history and things like them changing, the Penzance, like you say there, the founder, and then, you know, it also has things like reaction to the blood moon. Would I be able to ascertain the equivalent of a challenge? So for the sake of argument, would I get the vibe that they are into, let's say it was strength or cunning or this or that? Can I see that there are things depicted that I think they respect from the carvings from all around the room and from how they're acting and what I'm watching? So can I see that they respect, like, bad example, but just say drinking, eating, do you know what I mean? What can I find any correlation from what I'm seeing and hearing and from what's on the walls to see if there's a correlation or a core between them, if that makes sense?
I'd say make an investigation check for me, and I'll give you an answer regardless, but how much of an answer is based dependent on what your role is, okay?
Yeah, investigation. Okay. I am definitely going to use my inspiration on that.
Go for it, yeah.
I always forget to use it, so I'm actually using it this time. Instead of taking the 6 that I rolled. Not much better. I will take the 9.
9.
Unfortunately.
The common thread is just acts of valor more than anything else. So it's not something that you would get a lot of, like their camaraderie is built on, like, okay. The camaraderie would be built on, like, kinship, like drinking or whatever, but it's not something that they are pulled towards. Instead, what it is something that's like acts of valor or high valor would be something that they care a lot about, because the things that they have kind of made themselves known for and put themselves on the wall for is either who they are or the things they've done. Those are the two things that you see, like, consistently. Yeah, that's, sorry, it's a bit of a tricky answer because I'm trying not to give anything, but yeah, that would be.
That works. That works. Things that they view of historical note, be it themselves or something that they've achieved or been part of or immersed in or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where are you from originally, if you don't mind me asking, Wulver?
Like, the room, dead silent. Like, that was one of the things where they're just like, okay, now we focus. You get the impression it's not something Wulver talks about a lot. Not here. I come from a place before all of this. It's not a place I can ever go to again. Anything that I had there is gone.
We had a companion that was similar to that. He'd said about how this was just another lifetime in a different dream of his. And it had come from a place long before here.
Certainly a way of looking at it, for sure. When I was a young man, I was a bounty hunter. And I got caught up in something. Where I came from, monsters were as common as people. And people weren't just... well, let's just say they weren't just one kind. And he sort of gestures to himself. But in that was a lot of chaos and uncertainty. And I got attacked by a large creature. Which is how I became who I am now. And I used those skills to hunt with some of the best. But when things changed and the dust settled, well, I've never really found anyone from then. Why I'm here, I don't know. Why I am timeless, I don't know.
And do you think that these changes that appear in what seems more frequently, do you think it's this world returning? The world that you once knew? I look at myself and no one in my bloodline, although there are very strong people in my bloodline, none have this kind of change.
There's more and more of it every day. I see beings I haven't seen in a long time. Eos, for example. Your kind is not new to me.
Her eyes light up with that. She's squeezing the cutlery tight. She wants to ask, but she's holding for a moment.
Interesting thing about our abilities is not just our speed or ferocity or our strength. We have very keen senses. Sight, sound, and smell. I can hear the blood running through you all. I can hear how the rhythm of your heart changes. It's a very useful ability when we're out hunting, or when we're trying to detect liars. That's why you so easily walk through those woods, and how you reach these doors. Your intentions are pure, and not once has that changed. I also get a sense that there's no fear for who we are. Your response to us earlier is greatly appreciated, but we still fall into old habits. Being human is easier than being in our wolf form. Being a member of the Lunakin comes with that responsibility when we go from town to town. But I do sense fear in one of you, and I would like to know more. Eos, is it a sense of confusion? Are you afraid of us, or are you just interested in what we have to say?
She stands up. She looks at him dead in the eyes. The name for what I am, I fear, may cause me to ask more questions than provide answers. Before my mother, there was one like me. Before her, there was another, but the dates of the birth of the death, eons between.
Possible.
Your community is beautiful. There's so many of you. I only know one who was like me. My blood father, but he was no real father to me. My real dad is a hero, a legend. He masters the seas. He gave me this beautiful sword. I would like to know what I am. If you could communicate that to me quietly, that would be appreciated, for the name of what I am could cause hatred and confusion.
Not here. But if that is your wish and your ask, then I shall honor it.
If you don't mind, sir.
And of the rest of you, I know there are many questions. But it has been a long day. And we must work soon. So this is my offering. You may stay here for as long as you need. And I will answer whatever questions you may have, or that may arise. But for tonight, I will give you each one question. I will answer it the best that I can, with the honesty that I can offer you. Keep in mind that there are some secrets that this place, this town hold, that are not mine to give. But I will do you the respect of telling you, should that be a thing that arises. If that is alright with you, then you may begin. He sits back against the chair.
I have a question that is bothering me since a while, and I'm curious if you might help me with that, because Remington, Mr. Maleficum, is very reserved in these regards.
Nice.
I'm coming from an area that is called Saiga no Toshi, which was pretty much founded within the family lineage of the Maleficums. It's a very old place with very old traditions.
I remember.
I know there's a lot of places that have sworn to protect the ones that can't protect themselves, regardless, like they would view us or treat us. But I sometimes feel a little bit islanded, if that makes sense. And I'm pretty sure there's more that are like us. Is there something like a network that cooperates, that shares information, that helps each other out? And how does this work?
You refer to people with abilities. You're asking if there's a network of such things?
Aye.
There's an island. It's called Gom Galore. And upon that island you will find only the answers to those questions. There are no humans there. But there are people who have been beaten by this world. So don't expect only tolerance when you go. Everybody's journey is different. But you will find a lot of answers to those questions there.
Domo arigatou gozaimashita, sensei.
Nods towards you. Just says hi. That's just me having a lack of understanding of how to respond to that. He nods towards that and kind of looks around to see if any of you have any questions.
Eos has been rustling on a piece of paper, trying to write out this question specifically in runic. She's assuming that based off what she's seen on the walls.
Okay.
She gets out of her chair, slowly, goes towards him. She kneels respectfully before him, offering up the little piece of paper. On the paper, in runic, it simply says, "What am I?" And dog's barking.
He smiles and he takes your pen, and your pen disappears in between his fingers. He's a rather large being.
My favorite pen.
I'm sure it'll come back if he doesn't crush it. And he writes a sort of extended response to you. Some call you by the worst names. Devil Spawn, Demon Tail, Horned Fiends, those kinds of things. And with those come... Just saw Shaq's response to that and threw me. Actually, I think I just messed up. Wait, give me 1 second. I'll just double check something.
You're good.
I accept that I actually messed up. I know I did. Bear with me. Yeah, apologies. Bear with me. He doesn't say that. He says something completely different. You've often been called things like corpse walkers and fade lurkers. In old, where he comes from, you were simply known as Shatterkai. But now, in this world, and in this time, you're referred to as an Umbraven. And the Umbraven are, generally speaking, not people who were chosen by anything short of a god. He doesn't delve into it further. It's a short note. But it's, from the tonality of what he's writing to you, it is, you're a gift from a divine being. You're not a curse. You're not a burden. You're not any of the things that Eos possibly feels throughout her life. Just good.
She's astounded by this. She's stunned. She's reading it. One droplet, not a droplet. Tears. Relief. And she simply mutters to herself, within distance that he would be able to hear, "I have her blood. Thank you." And she goes back to her seat. And that note up in flames.
He smiles towards you and he nods and he kind of, yeah, he's just content with the information he gave you. But there's almost a youthful look in the eye for a moment as he remembers a time from long ago. It brings back that kind of memory for him. Then he glances towards Slate and Madriana, wondering if there's anything else that they would like to ask.
Madriana just Slate to go first.
Slate's going to step forward and say, "I wonder, would you humor me before my question and tell me, with your powers of perception and what do you know of me, or what am I to you?"
Typically, that's a question that you would ask yourself, but I'm guessing it's not that simple for you if you're asking me. Unfortunately, it means I can't give you a good, happy answer. You are one of a few that I have met in more recent years who contain what smells to me like something unnatural. You were not birthed with this. You did not grow with this. You became this. And though I wish I could give you glad tidings and happiness with my response, I am certain this will be more of a burden.
My question, based on what you've said and what you know, you mentioned earlier about being timeless and about perspective shifting over time.
Yes.
I know not how old I am, but I am a lot older than I look. I'm a lot older than I remember. And I've been more places and done more things than I remember. But one thing I do remember, and he just takes a pause and says the name Gideon.
DM checking his notes. Is this something I could have crossed paths?
Can tell you who Gideon is to me if you want, if it helps.
I have Gideon's not the issue. I'm just checking if this is something that.
What I know.
But go ahead if you want to. But this is what I'm checking. What Wulver would have crossed.
Gideon is a person that hates Scott Pilgrim.
Pilgrim.
There's a specific nod to the Lunar Kin.
Go ahead. Yeah, if you could then, just because I'm clearly missing a link.
So what I'm aware of from being from Penzance was the connection of a hero of significance to do with his adventures and contributions. There's a possibility of being linked to the group known as the Lunar King. And it talks about that he has hints of a mysterious and significant past, possibly involving powerful abilities and connections.
Yeah.
So what I'm exploring,
okay.
What I'm looking for is I'm probing that recognition from Wulver, and if he can smell who and what I am, he can probably smell from where I am, and if he's able to tell all these things, then using that name should put some of that in perspective, and then tie it in with what I've just said to him, that I'm older.
I had to remind myself, but I have the story here. That was yeah. Gideon was a fallen brother to us, though not an official member of the Lunar Kin. We treated him as if he were. He fell in battle a long time ago. This would have been somewhere in the 900s. He was important. I wish it was something that I had a better story for. But he was a hero. He saved a lot of us. He was, when he began, an apprentice. An apprentice to a scholar known as Eldon Greystone. He learned a lot about the world. And in doing so, he took that information, and when he began adventuring, he changed our perspective of how we saw things, of how we felt things. We tried many times to convince him to join us, and he did not. And he aged, and he grew sick, he grew tired. And during the times in battle, it wore on him more and more. To all of us, he died a hero. He had a lot of power. Power that even we didn't have. But the biggest power that he had, and the one that mattered the most, the one that carried the most weight, was his heart. The things that he cared about. His unwavering dedication to helping people, no matter what the risk. He loved people. When that time came, he faced death not as an adversary, like we all do. Not something we fight against, not something we struggle against. He accepted it. And I've lived many, many, many decades. Not once have I met anyone like him. And that is why that hits so hard, even all these years later. There's a beauty in that. Doesn't matter.
While he was
Go ahead, sorry.
While he was talking, I just want to be scribbling on a piece of paper. There's something I want to do in a moment.
Doesn't matter if you live 1,000 years. If you meet one person that's different and leaves a lasting image on you, everything else becomes a lot more worth it. He leans back in the chair, and there's sorrow and mourning in his eyes. Yeah.
So I had the loot out from previous. I want to put it down. I want to step towards him with the piece of paper of something I've written.
Sure.
But as I do, slowly and methodically, I want to start shape-shifting into everything I can think of, from Minotaur to werewolf to human to every race I've come into contact with, particularly ones that you would see at the school, people I've seen on my travels, emulate some of the people in the room, and then I'm going to stop dead from doing that and go back to myself. And I'm going to say, I'm from Penzance, as you already know. I know the story of Alden Greystone and a little of Gideon. I know the importance of Alden's work, how he wanted education, knowledge, how you work together, and how it was about the betterment of others. To cut a long story short, it's kind of like the work you do here. It all ties hand in hand. But unless I'm wrong, do you have a representative at the school? Because if not, you should. And what I want to do is hand them a forged invitation that I've just made with my forgery kit, but it's to look the same as, and it's a gesture of goodwill, as opposed to this isn't official, because clearly they've seen me write it. I'm not trying to make it a fake. I'm trying to say, as a gesture of goodwill, if you want to extend that knowledge, you want people to grow and learn and be better. At the Arcanum, there's no better place. You say you want to be closer to Remington, you wish that he was here. You have people that are doing good work, and I motion towards Lucian and Jarrett, who are about to go back to have a look on our behalf from what we've told. They could have just stayed stum and done nothing. So I suggest that an envoy there would be a good place for knowledge, for information, for you, your group, for others, and for others to learn what you're willing to share. This is just something for you to think on, and I'm quite sure that an invitation like this would have Remington's blessing, and I'm going to hand it across.
Okay. He takes it and he reads it and then looks towards you, and he just solemnly nods towards you. Just one quick, brief gesture that he understands and he appreciates it. But whether that is a sign of like understanding, or if that's a sign of like no thanks, it's not really clear.
The purpose of me shapeshifting on the walk over to him and having told him that I've been around as long as I have, or longer than I know of, was to show him that I have understood, prejudice. I've had to hide, I've had to fight. It gives him a similarity with their kind of how they can be treated, about having to live a secret life, identity, all this type of stuff. And it's to show him I have an understanding, and kinship is too strong to them, but that I get it is basically the gist of it, and why I truly believe that, education and understanding is the key, hence the education.
Gotcha.
So it's coming from a shared experience, if that makes sense.
Collective experience, yeah,
and
yeah.
that's what that gesture was to do, to say a lot, very little.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so, I mean, the quite literally message received would be what I'd give you on that. He's taking great care of the papers, so it's not something that means nothing to him. There's something there.
Lastly, I'd like to offer you potentially a gift, depending on your perspective. You shared with me knowledge moments ago, knowing that it could burn and a curse, but you gave it as a gift, and I do the same. I'm going to take out the book, I'm going to hold it and say, there is a sentience within, that if you live a long life and there's memories you wish to remember that you've forgotten, this book can help you. You must but touch it, and I'm going to hold it out.
Okay,
so again, I don't know if that's something they're afflicted
you're letting
with.
him, we had a bit of audio issue there, so I'm just recapping for a second. It seems to have rectified itself. But basically, if I understand, you're holding out the book, like the book. Yeah, okay.
And I'm telling him that he gave me a gift of knowledge that could be seen as a curse or a burden, a good thing or a bad thing. And he said to me, look, you probably don't want to hear this, but here it is. This is what I know. So I want to say to him, if he's afflicted, or they, any of them, have lived so long that their memory is afflicted in a way that mine is, because I don't know if that's a thing for them, I'm offering them that same gift and or burden or curse, that should one of them wish to remember something they may have forgotten, there's a sentient being in the book that will help them. And then I held it out for that exact, because that's what we've learned from the book so far. It can draw out memories, etc., from anyone who touches it. And that's the offer I'm making, letting them know it's not a trap. I've told them it's a sentient being. I've told them it's a gift, but also a curse, as in it's a good and a bad thing. So, it's not going to be easy, etc. So I'm laying my cards on the table with it, but I'm offering it as a potential gift should one of them, the leader or otherwise, use the memory function and need it for whatever reason.
The thing about ancient sentient beings is that they tend to have their own costs and prices, and tend to mostly do more harm than good. Even though you may view it through an agnostic viewpoint. And even if they seem altruistic in motivations, there's always a cost. There's always a burden. There's always a price. And generally, it's never worth whatever that price is. Whilst I appreciate the offer, I have a very good understanding of who I am, and I don't need someone else probing my mind to try and bring more misunderstanding to it. but I do appreciate the offer, and I know it comes from a good place.
I just take it and put it away, give a little nod of thanks and appreciation from my side, and then having given the game away by having the discussion aloud about who and what I am and letting them say it, but also me showing it, I might as well sit down as a minotaur and eat as much as I can, because I hate magic food and this is not that. So I'm going to get absolutely stuck into everything on the table. And I'm sure they can appreciate a big creature pushing aside and sitting in beside them and getting stuck in.
100%. Absolutely. Perfect. Madriana, is there anything you would like to ask?
She just looks at him square, like eye to eye, like proper, like look at him.
Yeah.
And just says, "Will you teach me how to hunt with precision and mercy?"
He grins in sort of a way that you haven't seen. There's something humbling about that. It would be my pleasure. You may join us tonight, if you can keep up.
Do I have to be on the ground? And then she smiles back to him the same way he smiled.
I would no quicker take your wings from you than you would my paws from me.
Then let's hunt.
There's a smile of knowing that something fun is going to happen today. Something different. Eat up. You will need your strength.
And she'll, while still looking at him, take a big piece of meat and just, that. Which, strangely enough, she's facing him. As I said, the reason I said she was facing him directly is that the others can't see that the bottom part of her faceplate has actually come up. Nice. So that she can eat.
Nice. I like it.
He's seen that now. I can say that for sure. But they haven't.
Okay. I'm actually going to note that down, because there's very few people in the entire Isles that have seen that, so it's worth noting.
While that's happening, having heard that request and then the invite to go with them this evening, I'm going to, mouthful of food, just ask, is that a private invitation or can anyone go?
As long as I don't have to take responsibility for your health and survival, you are welcome to go.
Gonna nod.
Sounds like a nightly expedition, I guess.
Wulver, a point of order. And I said, I don't know how you feel about it, but knowing what I could do, not to be disrespectful, but if I was to look like any of you, would that cause any difficulties for me or my friends here?
It would be a child wearing a mask. It wouldn't be disrespectful, but it wouldn't be held to the same standard.
Perfect. So I'm just going to thank him and go back to my meal.
As you all continue eating in your own ways and prepare for this evening, it begins to wind down as they begin to get ready. You're all led to an area that has several bunks in it, enough for all of you. Dash, Ayami, and Lissa will sit at this out. They will focus more on just getting settled and getting ready to go home. They're not feeling up for the hunt, but you four are more than welcome to go, should you wish. That feels like a good jumping off point for a moment to take a little break, finally get some tea into me, and we can, just as we were in the intro, I was like, I wish I made tea. So I'm going to finally go get my tea, and we'll come back then in about 10 minutes or so. or so, excuse me, and we will continue from that point when you guys are getting ready.
Yes.
Sound good? Excellent.
Yeah.
Then enjoy the videos that Mr. Rory has made for the intros to each of the characters, and we shall BRB.
BRB.
Hey, we are back. In my desperation to get tea, I apologize. I missed some gifted subs and stuff. Thank you so much, Tom, for rejoining us, Styx for rejoining us, Rory for the gifted subs, and Styx for the gifted subs as well. I also saw Hype Train. Saw that Mr. Kean resubscribed as his way of apologizing, but we don't forgive you for missing the session. And Rory, Mr. Rory, you also resub. Thank you so much. I apologize. I saw too late. I needed tea, and now it's here and it smells good. And I'll let the characters talk because I want to sip on my tea for 40 minutes. So you guys, you just enjoy yourselves.
Well, this hunt that we're on is basically hunting Dash, so enjoy dying, buddy.
Just take all of Dash's clothes, hog time somewhere he has 1 hour to escape, and you'll hunt him down.
Run, Dash, run. They're trying to catch you. Run, Dash, run. This place is not made for you. Run.
We need to check if this cure for lycanthropy actually works, and it makes sense for the hunt, and then they buy them, and then we check that it's legit, and if it's not, at least we know, you know.
Yeah, that's how we test it.
Sure.
So we find ourselves at the end of the meal time. You guys have some time to go prep. Now, if you're joining the hunt, I would like to know what you're doing to actually prep for this.
Oh, Hatsu is definitely, he's stretching out. He's doing his evening routine. He's also gonna check the bow and the arrows. He makes sure everything is at the right spot. And he also checks his special compartment with the smoke bomb arrows.
Is cocaine? Got it?
No, not cocaine. He can dash 80 feet. He's gonna be good, lad. He's the real Dash.
As a child, he was just like hit by a bag of cocaine in the face, and he just evolved.
Basically, he's trying to figure out how to catch things in range, and he uses that as an opportunity to get more used to using the bow, and he's very familiar using like shuriken and his kunai, but he definitely needs some work with the bow, and he sees it as an opportunity to really work on the bow and make it shine.
Okay. All right. Hatsu is in full prep mode. You can hear those, like, I feel like Hatsu has like a 90s montage where it's like dun 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 tick, 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 and he's putting on like straps, and just like the sword goes into the sheath, and like, yeah. What about the rest of you? What are you guys doing?
I'm going to be spending some time basically strapping up all my equipment. It's stupid things like anything reflective, making sure it's enclosed under my clothes, tied down, anything that jingles or sways. So stuff that makes noise, gives out light, reflective, anything like that.
Going for stealth, yeah.
Yeah, and knowing, you know, what I can do with some of my abilities, bardic inspiration, invisibility, etc., rather than casting them, it's like somebody who, it's like practicing something that you've said 1,000 times. You're standing there, you know, talking to yourself, okay, you know, you're kind of saying it back in your head, etc., prepping, hyping yourself up. And what I'm going to do as part of my prep, much like a boxer, just before they come out to the ring, I'm going to use enhance ability on myself right before we leave. But there's no point in me doing that until the last second, because it lasts for 1 hour. And my plan with that is to use enhance ability for my strength score, and I intend to stretch my legs and test what I can do as a werewolf, having never been one before. I want to see, I know my abilities are the same, which is hence I'm using enhance ability to be that bit stronger. Nice. But I want to see if I can make it work, and by practicing in it, it will look more authentic at a future use. So that's my point of it.
Cool.
So it will very much look like a child, but like I said, I took care to make sure that they're not going to be upset by it, and it's like somebody butchering a language when they're trying to speak it and they're doing pidgin English or whatever while they learn it. It's like that. I'm trying to emulate them I think it's great and I want to do more. Obviously I can't, so that's where this is coming from. And obviously I've eaten like a pig, so that helps.
Full and ready to go. Madriana.
She's going to go outside, float up onto whatever accumulates as a roof to this place, a thatching or tiling, whatever it is. She's going to do a few, like, kind of stretches, nothing too much. She's pretty limber anyway. And then she's going to take her bow out, retighten the string, make sure that the coupling on her boot is ready to hold it for her, because when she flies she has a little thing on her boot so that she can like wedge the bow into her boot so it doesn't restrict her flying. And then she's going to sit there cross-legged with the bow on her lap, close her eyes and listen.
Okay. Excellent. And Eos, are you going on the journey, or are you?
She's going.
Okay.
She's preparing much more subtle way, to be fair. With the realization of the news she's just been informed of, she's saying the word again, over again. In her mind, she's going through it phonetically. She's remembering it as much as possible. Only now she's looking to the clouds. She squints a bit. A little bit of sparks come up. She's good. She doesn't need to do any stretches or anything.
Nice. She immediately pulls a muscle. No, okay. You
How
lands in the swamp. And
Athletics check.
when you enter the food hall again, they're almost all in form. Wulver is not, but the rest of them are. The door opens on the chime of a bell, and they fucking haul ass. Wulver, however, sticks back and walks with you. So, what we do each night is we check our surroundings and our perimeters in a full sweep to make sure there's nothing we miss during the day. We hunt just enough food to survive. We return back, report our findings, and make any decisions about what we need to do. You're certain you are all feeling up to this? Do not feel pressured by this group. There's no judgment here.
The only way to become stronger is to run with those bigger.
Is there something like a rule of thumb what we should hunt for? Is there a quota or something?
We mostly eat deer, venison. You will find other creatures out there. We ask that you respect them and leave them, and don't kill more than we need. I would say as a group, if you manage to take down a deer or two, that would be sufficient.
Aye.
One last thing. We have seen a strange presence. Though we cannot find it, we can smell it. Occasionally, it pops up. If you encounter this, and believe me, you'll know it if you do. Come back here, report it, and stay safe. It's something much faster than us, and we don't know what it wants. Its intentions may be pure, it may not. Just stay safe. He takes a deep breath, and you hear the bones cracking as his form changes. He sort of leans down into all four and just... he's gone. He's much faster than the others. He's incredibly agile and quick. You watch as he comes up towards a tree. He sort of hits the side of it and it pushes off it and shoots off into a different direction at extraordinary speed.
Tatsu immediately dashes after him, doing all the jump against the tree shit because he practiced it at Madriana's house.
Okay, I'll allow
in the
that,
forest, and he's going full out.
So seeing this, I'm going to adopt my werewolf form, and after listening, I'm just going to amend. I'm going to cast Enhance Ability now, but I'm actually going to go for Dexterity, knowing that I'm only tiny. I'm going to be better at being fast than I am anything else. So that's what I'm going to go for.
You run on all fours, like you're just like going on all fours, and it's like not the same thing at all. But you're in that form, so it's kind of like when you're in a video game and something, and you change your skin. Like it doesn't suit quite, but it's fine. I'll go with it.
When Slate starts to run, can I try and trip him up?
Yeah, I'll use the rules of grapple for this because I quite like that. So you can have athletics or acrobatics versus Slate's athletics or acrobatics. Slate, keep in mind you can add your enhanced ability to this as well.
So enhanced ability gives me what advantage by the new rules? Is that what I get? Not sure.
Oh, that's a good question.
I think that's
advantage on ability checks using the chosen ability.
Yeah. So I'll get advantage at, let's say, so dexterity, so acrobatics.
You have advantage on the check, yeah. It's a good roll.
Oh,
30, 20.
That's a very good roll.
God damn.
Yeah.
With a 9. Slate, on a normal day, might have got you, but today, in this form, with everything you're doing, you just leap over, like, with just perfect agility. Like, it's very, it actually catches you off guard a little bit, Midran. You weren't expecting that, but with perfect agility and hyper-awareness, you leap over werewolf form in full effect.
As I dart off into the trees, I'm going to shout back, "Now you're going to have to go to werewolf class."
But all I heard was "Row, row, 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 row."
He's not technically a werewolf. I think he can just speak.
Okay.
I can speak, exactly.
It's like I don't know
Just highlighting the fact that I bested you for the second time, which means you're going to have to go to a class to get better, just like last time.
Oh, no.
Let's get fucking bitten by one.
Oh, man.
There we go.
Yeah, right.
Yes. Do you think we should go?
He was just casually walking like she's in no rush anywhere.
Yeah, the Major is just going to join you for a second. Yeah. How about I leave you with some company? I fancy stretching my wings, and Albia sit on your shoulder, and you literally just, you know, like the Superman thing of just straight up, like dead straight.
Just
and
dust
like the
and
right
like an
angle,
upside down
like,
mushroom. Yeah, like.
Yeah.
He
like
tries to look up, but she's like, "Ah!"
I'll give you, yeah, right. That's a Rory crossover. I'll give you one additional thing that Rory will love. It also makes those little wisps that they do in Top Gun when the plane goes up all of a sudden. It does a little wisp. Yeah, I'll give you that because I know Rory and myself. Yes. That's one of our bonding movies.
Yeah.
This Madriana goes up. Hell
yeah.
Ever weirder.
And Nick Cage, not Nick Cage, Tom Cruise is in her head. Yeah, so all right, let's do this. I'm gonna give you guys checks based on what you're doing, but I'm gonna let you guys choose the check. Madriana, there's some logic to what you're doing. It gives you much more view and oversight. What would you like to do with that?
Okay. Flying above, I'm watching Wulver. I'm watching his movements. I'm getting his path. I'm understanding. Yeah, he's fast. Like, I might just be starting to dip behind him, but as I'm watching him and I'm gathering his movements and the way he moves, I'm working out, calculating that. If I see that he's got a target in mind, like he's just seen a deer, that's where he's heading. Just before he gets to it, I want to have taken a shot and tried to nail that deer through the head before he does it.
Gotcha. All right, let's start with, as you're
Like,
above
quick,
the
clean.
woods, there's no wind, there's no nothing. It's just moonlight cascading down upon you, but you have the ability to see him. You can see him, you're tracking him, you're having a fucking hard time keeping up, and he's zigzagging, so it's even crazier. You're in full dash straight flight, and he's swinging
I'm
off
as
a
the
grab.
bird flies.
Exactly,
He's
yeah.
not.
And he's like pushing himself off branches. He grabs onto a branch, pulls himself up, shoots himself across using that momentum. He never for a second is slowing down or stopping, but you can tell from the way that his head is moving that he's taking in every little detail of everything around him. He is really, really good at this, would be the best way to put it. Okay. I'll give you can have investigation or perception, I would say, to monitor this. And I'll also give you a little bit of insight just to see if you can glean what it is that he's trying to go for. Okay?
Okay.
So the first one you can have advantage on, and then the insight you can have a direct on. Just a straight roll.
So investigation would be 18 to see what he's looking for.
Okay.
And an insight will be not bad. 19.
Nice. All right, so let's start what he's doing and what he's looking at. So he's watching ahead of himself. He's watching everything with almost pinpoint accuracy and precision. Like, the speed the trees are going past him must be incredible, because the speed you're going over them is incredible. And if he's outpacing you and still able to hang on to like these different like branches, trees, different things, and maintain momentum, it's because he knows this forest inside and out. So he just grips onto things. He's just shooting himself off, pressing his feet against the side of the bark of the tree. He digs his nails in for just a second and pushes, releasing just in time to move to the next area. And when he leaps, he's going like 20, 30 feet in a leap. Like, it's just this incredible Hulk-esque movement through with the way he pushes himself off stuff and flies along. It's that kind of energy that he's using, pure strength. He definitely has a deer in sight, and you can see it, but it's about 100 feet away, and he's moving rapidly and gaining. So you can see that that's his intent, that's his focus, that's what he's going for, and he's moving with such speed that he doesn't need to care much. What's kind of jarring for you, probably, that you would pick up upon in the Hatsu, you would get this as well. He's barely making a sound. Like, he's picking his branches very specifically. He's not breaking them. He's not pushing himself off cracked and destroyed trees. He's using the healthy parts. He knows what to hold on to, what to do, what to move, so that he can move as quietly as possible. It's almost unnerving to both of you, because that's something that's very difficult to achieve. That comes with insane levels of practice. And Madron, if you want to take the shot at the deer, you can. The DC, let me have a look. Cool. All right.
Can
you can make an attack roll.
Can I try to just to gain that tiny bit of extra speed, just to even just about manage to catch him before taking the shot? I'm literally going to go like nosedive and like, try to pull the like wings are in, straight nosedive kind of thing to give me that little bit of an edge. And I'm going to then take my shot. How do you randomly have a picture of a deer? Like, come on.
I have populated much of the... I was going to call it a Pokedex. Oh my god.
Pokedex.
That one? Are you fucking kidding me? Fuck you, D&D.
Okay.
I used my inspiration earlier, so yeah.
You unleash with what should be pinpoint accuracy. You know for 100% you've got this shot. You've done more complicated shots just competing with dash. But he's faster than your arrow. The speed is fucking intense. As you see a deer standing there, and then you just see a blur, and the deer isn't there anymore. What you do see next, though, is that he's standing above it. The deer is dead, it's on the ground, but it looked like it wasn't in any pain or agony. He killed it with such precision and accuracy. He knew exactly what to do to make this as painless as possible. That only comes from a hunter who cares about the prey. It's not something that comes from people who enjoy the thrill of just the hunt. That comes from someone who really gives a shit about what they're doing. And the craft and everything about it. Hunting is not necessarily a sport. He treats it as a necessity, and he respects that necessity.
That's why I asked him specifically with mercy.
Yeah.
Because I knew that would be how they would hunt.
Mm-hmm.
If he obviously looks up to see where the arrows come from, I've deliberately tried to position myself to where I'm in front of the moon, so that he won't see my wings because of the white. He won't even see my head, just my silhouette in front of the moon.
You hear a howl of the wolf that resonates and echoes. You all hear it. And you hear multiple howls spread out through the forest as well in retort. Let's go with Slate. What are you doing?
So, having seen the werewolves in both their human and werewolf form, and having the actor feat, I know what all of them look like and can remember them by memory, which means I can also become them and whatever. But with that in mind, I want to use it to, while running through the trees, spot the wolf form of Eldrick, which was the older werewolf who scoffed about Orla and had a few quips to make. And my reasoning is that because he's slightly older than the others, I know age is not as meaningful, but he is older, which means he's potentially a little bit slower, but also wiser. So I think he will have a strategy different than perhaps some of the younger ones, and I know I can't match their strength or ferocity. So my plan is to effectively follow him or stalk him, and I'm waiting for him to make his move on a deer, whatever it is, and when he does, I intend to be waiting to cast Silvery Barbs to undo his attack and give myself the advantage to snatch it from his grasp. So basically take his kill. He'll fuck it up and I take it. That's what I want to do.
So you definitely see him. It takes a moment, but you do see him. He is absolutely blasting through the area with insane speed as well. Not as fast as Wulver. None of them will ever be as fast as Wulver, but incredibly agile. He's not swinging from the trees or anything like that. He's just flat-paced running and moving out of the way and navigating around. He definitely has a deer in sights, so what I'll give you is you can have I'm gonna give you survival, or just trying to think here. I'm gonna give you survival or insight. You can have either to glean not what he's doing, but what the deer is about to do to try and make this shot. If you get over 15, I'll give you advantage on your shot.
Okay, so my thinking behind it, just before I do that, is that I obviously have advantage on dexterity already from enhanced ability, and my plan is to, in werewolf form, my weapons are, my hands, whatever. So it's to grab. I know they're not really weapons in this instance, so it's a grapple effectively from me to attack it. So my thing is to use Silvery Barbs for him to. He's going to do the attack. I'm going to let him get it. Yeah. Is as he gets it, undo it, so then I can't have double advantage, but that's the idea. I already have it from enhanced ability, but then I have it again on. He's doing the work of knowing what the prey is going to do. I have to beat him, not the prey. That was my thinking, that he has the skill that I don't. He has the understanding that I don't, and that's why I'm using Silvery Barbs, to let him do all of the work. That was my plan behind it as such.
Okay. Yeah, I'll give you that. I'll give you the advantage then. You don't need to make the ability check because, of course, with Silvery Barbs, that would make sense. You granted that anyway.
I'll just cast it into chat then, just to use it.
I'm going to say that the ability check was auto-succeeded by your enhanced ability, and we'll go from there.
Great.
Yeah, so you can roll Silvery Barbs. I believe, if I remember correctly, that means that he has to roll again. Am I correct on that? Or it's not just a fail, right?
Yeah, they re-roll whatever they rolled, and they take the lower result.
Cool. All right, let me have a look.
And then I can give a creature advantage, and it says specifically you can choose yourself. So I choose myself. I already have it anyway.
I'll never forget that part of it. Trust me, you've ingrained that in my head. Actually, rolled better that time.
Yeah, well,
go for
lower the two. So now I'm rolling Dex with advantage. Is that what I'm rolling? To make the grab against his?
Yeah,
I would
so
imagine.
I mean, you can kind of choose what you're doing here, but if you're trying to make the actual catch on this, then yeah, that'd be the play.
So will I take that as acrobatics, or am I taking that as acrobatics?
Yeah, that's fine with me. If you want to take it as an acrobatics check, usually it's a straight attack, but I'll give you. You're trying to outpace him, so that's fine with me. You get advantage on it anyway, so that's
I'm
fine.
just trying to dive on it effectively because I have.
You're
no
not necessarily trying to kill
form.
it or attack it. Yeah, you're just trying to.
I'm just trying to make the catch, basically.
Yeah. Acrobatics counts as a grapple check anyway, so.
So 19.
He's so close that his claws are against the skin of this deer. As you just lunge out of nowhere and attack the deer, you tackle it down and you just hold it down. What are you doing at this point?
So presumably he's like right in front of me. I've just grabbed it and pinned it, and he's in front of me.
Yeah. Growling, I will add.
Yeah. As a point of order, because there were so many werewolves, are there any other in the vicinity tree line?
There's definitely
Anywhere
like
else?
one or two who might be running past who just stop to watch that in amazement, and then they just continue on because it's their job.
So then, this is what I want to do, but that's purposely why I'm going to do this. As there others are there, I'm basically going to not release it, if you will, but release it to him. So like, I got it, but I give it to him, and then I'm going to carry on with the others.
With one claw, he just like swipes across the deer, and there's a line just in the deer's throat for a second, and it just hits the ground. He picks it up over his shoulder. He, without looking at you, just lets out one guttural like, and then he just goes and heads towards the buildings again.
I'll just take off with the others.
There's a clear understanding here that they may have either difficulty or just flat out can't speak in this form. So whatever words are implied, much like with dogs in general, it's through body language, it's through action, it's not through words and dialogue. So there's a clear frustration in his body language. He didn't take that as like a thrilling camaraderie moment. He took that definitely as a personal attack and insult.
I chose my target well. That was the whole point of why I chose who I chose and why I did what I did. Because they said I was like a baby and I couldn't do it. So I just proved that if, those that have been around a long time are so good, I could beat them. That was my thinking. But it wasn't to throw it in their face. It was just to show them that I'm capable rather than that they're incapable. But I expected as much, so I'm not going to hang around to think about or read into it, because I knew whoever I did that to was not going to be happy that I took it from them as such. 100%. So so I would just carry on to try and, if you get me, help and assist anybody else. And because I'm behind them now, it would be more so, like a sheepdog, when something goes to move, you move around, so they move back. So now I'm sort of helping herding rather than trying to be the one at the front to catch. Yeah, so I'm still helping the group and still using my enhanced ability to use my dexterity to keep up from the back and to still help herd to contribute to the front.
Sure, absolutely. Eos, I'll jump to you.
Yeah, so Eos is honestly just on a lovely stroll. She's not running, she's not dashing or whatever, she's just strolling around, enjoying the nature.
Sure. The only thing you cross path with, it's not necessarily anything that's like hunt worthy. Mm-hmm. It's just a wee little badger, just doing his own little thing. Climbing up some rocks, just moving around, enjoying the nocturnal aspect of life. Definitely hunting for something in its own right, but just a nice, cute little encounter. I don't know if Eos would ever have seen a badger before, so it's just something nice.
Not a hope. She literally squats down and then slowly sits down and just observes. She's never seen a badger or anything similar to a badger before.
Make a history check for me.
Ooh,
I want that freaking picture, by the way. That is the cutest freaking badger I've ever seen in my life. Like, it was beautiful.
11.
11? You don't remember much, but you did learn about nature in books, and there's only one thing that stands out to you that makes you sort of go, oh, maybe I shouldn't sit here, and that is that badgers will grab onto a bone and they will hold it till it breaks. The only thing that you can do to really make it let go is snap a stick and hope to God it believes you.
So with that, she slowly gets back up, not to cause any panic, and, just kind of walks around and onwards.
Makes a wide berth, got it.
Yeah.
So Eos might not be dashing, but do you know what is? Lissa.
My God.
She is definitely back at the place and not part of this, because otherwise I have too many voices.
Oh, that's what I mean. She's back there dashing.
Oh, I'm sure. I'll fade this whole campaign to black, goddammit. Yeah. Now I come to Mr. Hatsu.
Yes, sir. As he moves through the woods, as like a fish in a river, he scans the whole area, and he picks up on Wulver, and he also picks up on Madriana, and he's going into a deep flow state. And there's a voice in his head that kind of sums from way back, but it's echoing more and more. And it says, focus on your strength. And he has his father's voice in his head, and he focuses on what he's capable of best. He's like, his eyes are his bread and butter. And he scans the area, and he remembers when they entered the woods that he picked up tracks with Ayame when they searched for the wolf specifically, and he remembers that they also found deer footprints, specifically deer footprints, and he's recollecting the ways, and he knows that deers used to go the same ways through the woods. That's what he learned in the jungles. So he's following these trails to make his own spot and his own catch.
Okay. I want 2 checks from you. One is survival, and you can have advantage on this because of what you just explained. The other is a straight acrobatics roll.
Mm-hmm. So I use my inspiration right away.
You got a 9 for survival. Okay.
With advantage. That is fucking
That's
disgusting.
I have only this group.
A dirty 20.
I'll take the dirty 20. Okay.
And acrobatics. It's a 17.
Nice. You are looking for tracks. You can't find them. You can't find them. You can't find them. You close your eyes. You hone in on your father's voice, and not in front of you realistically, but when you close your eyes and you see light moving, you just see gold moving across your eyes until it stops. You open your eye and you start going in that direction. You know what it means. You start sprinting in that direction. You jump up to get some height, some leverage, and as you're taking out your bow, there's a sudden slip that you don't expect. You're holding the bow steady. You look down at the tree just to see what that was, and there's this sort of, it's almost like a very thin layer of dark colored slime on the stick itself that made you sort of slip. You lean back to line up your shot on a deer that you can see through basically the crack of 2 trees. You're going to have disadvantage on the shot, and I'll explain why, but I want you to make an attack roll for me with the bow.
With disadvantage, right?
If you don't mind, please, yeah. I say if you don't mind, do it anyway.
It wasn't that 20.
I'm sorry.
19.
Oh my god.
19.
You know you've got this shot. In your heart and soul, nothing on this planet can make you miss this shot. Except when you go to lean forward to take the shot, your foot is stuck, and you let go. The arrow skims against the tree and hits its target, and the deer hits the ground. You look down, and this slime is sort of stuck to your foot. It's holding on. What do you want to do?
He stops for a second. He looks at the deer. He makes sure that it's dead.
It's not moving. No.
And he relaxes he stands loose. And he tries to understand what's happening. He knows that he's not stuck at a branch or something. He's curious and smelling and trying to catch up some of the details because he's curious that he might have stumbled upon the creature that Wulver was talking about.
Okay. You lean down. I'm going to get you to go for investigation for me.
18.
Okay. So, with 18, you move your hand across it, not touching it, just over it, and almost like it's magnetically drawn to you. It's reaching for the skin, like it's reaching to touch. No, you'd be wearing gloves. Sorry, it's reaching for the gloves. It would be trying to touch you back, basically. It's moving with its own sort of sentient, or maybe chemical response. It looks like it's alive.
He's kind of trying to calm down to express that he's not afraid or a threat. And he's speaking directly to that entity and he's asking, or let's say he's phrasing, if I disturb your peace, I'm sorry. If I can assist anyhow.
As you do, the substance goes limp. It goes back to just being pool and you're kind of released from it. But further within the tree line, you hear there's something out there. As you look towards your deer, you just hear a crunch. And you see something stooped over. And it's just devouring the deer. Jaw dislocated, teeth ravenous. No eyes that you can see, almost like they're wearing a helmet of some kind as they dig in.
But does he have the assumption that it's only one creature or is it multiple?
At the moment, it looks like you can only see one. It doesn't mean that
that's
there's
the direction where I heard the noise from?
Yeah.
Okay, so he could assume that the substance reaches from that creature until that branch.
If you want to.
He goes...
As you gain another perspective or another view, just before you speak, this flesh from the deer is wilting away. It is becoming bone as it is consuming everything else about this deer.
He goes, well, I wasn't aware that I was stealing your prey. I'm sorry for that. And he bows down a little bit, but in the same time, as smooth and stealthy as he can, he gains distance backwards, slowly but surely.
You get down from the stick that you were, like the branch that you were standing on, and you start to move away. As you speak, the creature lifts its head. You can see it has these long teeth, the same color as the flesh on its skin, which look burned. It's this dark kind of purplish reddish hue that you would see on a bad burn that's scabbing over. But it's completely smooth across the head, the teeth themselves pulling out as it moves across, you can see that it's kind of walking almost on all fours, but in the way that a human would. The arm is completely the same color, but it's wearing these kind of metal plates on it. It has some sort of hood on its back. It looks like an amalgamation of what you would expect someone to look like as a human, but with whatever this is. Its skin looks alive.
Mm-hmm. Would he have the impression that it would look something to the detail or features that the fiery creature had on the man that burned to the ground and exploded, that they witnessed earlier?
I can see why we would go that way with that, but not intentionally. That is just my lack of ability to explain things and describe things visually. Right. He doesn't look like a burn victim. He looks more like just that kind of color and that tone of what's looking at, but it's not something it's not like the old man, no.
But since he reacted on what Hatsu was saying, is there the impression that the creature might be sentient? Like that the creature would understand what he said?
Make an insight check.
12.
It probably understood you about as well as any other beast would. Present company not included. As it stands up, you can tell it's missing an arm. It only has one hand, one arm, but behind it is a large tail, almost scorpion-esque, that is got these kind of layers to it, like a caprice to it that just kind of cascades in.
Hatsu, with the left hand, slowly and without telegraphing too much, he want to get his hand on the jitta.
The jitta is finally vibrating. It's getting stronger.
It's getting stronger. Your
Hatsu sense is tingling.
Yep. Hatsu sense is tingling.
That makes even more sense when you see what I wrote in the chat.
Sinister Six morph together. Nice.
He would back up further, but he would knock an arrow ready on the bow, but he would get one hand up and he would calmly say, "I don't want to interrupt you. We don't have to go that road." And he would bow down a little bit to gesture that he doesn't want any trouble, and he would back up further. But the second that creature would approach him faster, he would start a hole, and within that hole, he would prime the shot for a headshot.
Well, two things happen. One, the creature definitely doesn't see you, but responds to your voice and lets out a and as it does, it barrels through the tree line that was there, and you watch as it squeezes through. The only thing holding it together is the clothing that it's wearing as it slices its way through those trees and starts running towards you. It barrels with such ferocity and speed towards where it heard the voice. So let loose your arrow and let it fly.
Hell yeah.
As soon as
he lets loose a howl.
I'll come back in a second, Red. Yep.
He lets loose a howl, and with that howl, he shoots. Oh shit!
12?
What a 12!
Something fascinating happens. It hits, but it goes through the flesh without any kind of self-preservation or any care for itself. Though it appears to be taking damage, you can roll your damage. It continues barreling towards you.
I can't.
That doesn't let you roll the damage?
No.
Ba-ba-ba.
Oops. I also used the wrong weapon. Oopsie.
That's probably okay.
It's the same modifier, but
Okay.
Yeah.
There should be an option on the one above that that says damage. You see that? Just roll damage for me.
yeah.
It just seemed to roll twice in the chat for some reason. I'm not sure whether. 10.
It's a 10.
So what should have been a lethal arrow just goes straight through the flesh, and it continues barreling towards you. Its tail lines up, ready to strike. Hatsu, time to move, buddy. What do you want to do?
Okay. With the impressions that he had, he... Okay, here's what he's doing. His intention is to redirect the attack of that creature. He's gonna cast Minor Illusion to his left side by what he's trying to recreate is the sound of crackling branches.
Okay.
And oops, he casted his and he wants me to place a measurement. Whatever. Okay, and as stealthy as he can, and as fast as he can with stealth, he tries to make his way towards where he has seen Wulver the last time, because he doesn't want to lead that creature towards the village.
Okay. I want you to roll a stealth check and a deception check for me. The deception is something that I'm going to give you advantage on based on your minor illusion. Stealth is just a regular roll.
Yeah. Stealth.
And Ryan, I haven't forgotten. I will come to you shortly.
Okay.
Stealth is a 23.
Nice.
And deception with advantage is 17.
So as this creature moves past you,
Jesus Christ.
it runs past you towards the sound that you made, and you just use that moment to sneak past and back. Yeah.
He looks like he read a book.
Yeah. Slate shared the book, right? The creature runs in the direction of the sound and keeps running. You sort of stealth off and try and go in search of Wulver, or at least where you've last seen him. Adriana, if it's okay, I'll get you to pick up from there. What is it you would like to do? You heard the scream and the reaction.
Yeah, I didn't mean to do that in chat, by the way. I
Okay.
clicked on the wrong thing.
It's hidden, don't worry about it. But
Hearing that, I'm still near to Wulver. I'm going to... How far am I away from him?
I'll say it doesn't take you
Within a-
long to close the ground, so you would have been responding from the moment that you heard the sound, and in that sense, I guess you'd be there by now. Yeah, just a good few seconds have passed.
Okay, cool. So, yeah, as I was leaving Wulver, and I hear the direction that comes from, I'm sure he heard it more anyway, I will just basically send a message to Wulver, mentally, saying, I guess we found your foe. See you there.
What's the range on your message? Sorry, just if I remember.
I'm trying to see there. 120 feet.
Oh, you're good then. You're good. Okay. I was just making sure it wasn't like 30 feet or
Yeah.
something, or like. At that point, you're just standing on him. So.
Yeah. Essentially, then I'm basically booking it to where I heard the scream.
Okay.
And I'm like skimming treetops so that I can see where it is and get to it as soon as possible.
Okay. Hatsu is unfortunately stealth, so it's a little difficult to see him, but I'm going to make you make an investigation or I'd say investigation for this one.
Can I assist in a way that I would argue if Hatsu would recognize a Madriana, he would give out a sign that she would understand
Yeah, I'll say that's
where
okay.
he is located.
You can make that roll again there, Madriana. I will actually go so far as to say you can have survival if you want as well. Okay, so that's it.
12, yeah.
12. You definitely don't see Hatsu, but this creature's not being especially quiet. 12 isn't out of the realm of possibility. You would fly over this creature and see it, but as you do, you're kind of gliding along. You're moving at speed, so there is a whoosh. You do see that this creature looks up and follows you with absolute accuracy. You would see what Hatsu saw. There's no eyes on this creature, but it's definitely looking up at you.
Okay, so the plan is that as I sweep over it and see it, I want to then basically I want to do a U-turn in the sky, swoop back, but come back underneath the canopy, and I basically want to come at it from the opposite side of what I would assume Hatsu would have come from where we came from.
Okay. Absolutely. You can definitely do that. Can you make a stealth roll for me, please?
I can indeed. So 13.
Okay. So you're coming at it. What do you want to do?
If I feel like this thing is like, it seems to be moving in a threatening manner, right?
It definitely doesn't look like a nice, like a nice kind thing. Yeah.
Okay. So coming to a skid onto the ground, we'll say 30 feet behind it. I'm going to take a shot.
We'll just take a shot.
Yeah,
I'm going to give you
'cause I've already got the
disadvantage on
bow.
this. Yeah, that's okay.
That's fine. If I can remember. Oh yeah. Okay, now it rolls okay. 15.
15. Okay. Yeah, 15. So you can roll your damage.
Oh, there. So that's a 6.
Okay. So as you let loose, the same thing happens. It goes straight through the back. The creature doesn't even kind of respond to that. It just turns towards you and starts absolutely sprinting at you, where it heard the slide from you coming in, the impact of you touching the ground.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know where Hatsu is, so the idea was for me coming at it from behind was that it drew it away from the village as well. Like, she doesn't know that Hatsu's trying to do the same.
You're landing behind, you mean
Yeah,
away
we're
from the
doing
village.
like
Got it.
wide job. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It starts absolutely sprinting towards you.
Okay.
And Madriana, it's going to try and lash at you because 30 feet is exactly in its space.
Okay.
Uh, 12, I think misses, right?
12 misses, yes.
It leaps at you to go bite at you, and you just dodge out of the way. You don't want this thing to fucking touch you at all.
With the wings and just push back an extra foot or two, yeah.
Something you catch by being so close to it, like far closer than anyone has been yet, is that it's constantly seeping what looks to be smoke of some kind.
Okay.
Just very faintly off the tip of its skin, almost.
Okay. Yeah. That's my action then, I guess.
Sure. So what are you doing?
How far is he actually away from that?
I'll probably say you're about 60 away at the moment, just because Madriana didn't exactly know where you were. It ran towards her instead, away from the village. You said you were moving away in a different direction to Wulver. I would say 60 feet.
Yep. Alright, so what he would do as an action is he would put his bow, Ayaka, on his back, as silent as he can. And he's gonna reach with the left hand towards his sword.
Because of Joba, yeah.
But in that move, he grabs into his body armor, basically, and his clothes. And as a bonus action, he would move silently towards that creature. And he would basically, within the last few meters, he would leash out with a shuriken.
Nice.
As a bonus action.
Okay, go for it. Make your shot.
Do I get advantage because I'm stealthy?
Yeah, I'll give you advantage for this one.
That's a 19.
Hits, so roll your damage if you can. That's the second one up. Yep.
And that's a 5.
It digs into the skin and it doesn't even seem to notice as it's lashing into lashing into Madriana. So it's still swinging at her at this point and trying to grab her. It goes past as she moves out of the way, and the shuriken just, Madriana, you would catch the direction this came from. The shuriken lands and impacts in this creature. It doesn't even seem to notice.
I'd very much like to be making my way. I presume that the werewolves with their acute hearing, much like tracking the deer, some of them may have shifted and will be heading in that general direction.
Triangulating,
So,
yeah.
Yeah,
sure.
I would like to be definitely, following and heading, and if I've heard it myself, same thing, and heading to the direction.
Somewhere Eos is having peppermint tea with a badger. Yeah, you make your way over towards them. It wouldn't take long until you see what's sort of going on, because the wolves that you were with stop and they sort of stand present and look towards what's going on, but there is a moment of hesitation of what the fuck is that, right? So but Slate, I'll say you can be a part of this at this point as well. Yeah. I'll go to Madriana.
I just want to say, Ryan is jealous of Eos right now, having tea with a badger. Ryan wants to do that. Okay.
Well, I know what to get you for your birthday.
Oh, yeah, I love badgers. Okay. Bo just gets whipped up into the air because she knows it'll land in the tree canopy where she can grab it later.
Okay.
As she throws that up, the other arm's pulling across, grabbing the sword because she's ambidextrous, and she's just slicing at this thing.
For D&D terminology, for any of the D&D nerds in chat, she used her interact with object throw the thing, and then used her weapon move, her attack move, to use the sword, which is fine. Absolutely. So you can use your rapier. Go ahead.
For crying out loud.
You swing at this thing. It's not that it doesn't hit it, it's just that it doesn't look like it's really doing anything. You swing at this thing and it collides with it. You cut into it and the wounds just seem to heal from that specific attack. Yeah. You don't have multi-attack yet or anything, right? No. Yeah, go ahead.
So yeah, she just stands fast then, holding the blade in hand, and she's kind of ready in her other hand for whatever she might need to do.
The creature looks at you it doesn't look at you, doesn't have eyes, it faces towards you in that way, but it takes its arm, and with that, the hand changes shape into a lengthy blade, and it goes to swing at you. It's adapting to what you're doing, but not adapting very well. A 6 does not hit you, so it goes to do that, and you're amazed and confused, but you jump out of the way again, and it barely misses you. It's just like
parry
scraping.
it with a rapier.
Okay, that's perfect. Yeah, you
Yeah,
managed
yeah.
to block it. This is a deadly creature, something you have not seen the likes of before. Even Slate can't do this, right? Well, we don't know, but I do know that if you cut Slate's arm sword, it's probably going to cut his hand off. So, yeah.
And then I'm just gonna, I guess, not scream it out, but shout it out. It's like, Hatsu, what in the fuck is this?
Hatsu, you have your chance to respond. It's your turn. Or you can respond if you want to. You don't have to, but it's your turn.
Okay. Now that he's only 30 feet away, he launches with a sword attack right to the head, because his idea is, by the way that he looked at it, that it has to be some kind of possession and something, and he tries to cut the head off.
Okay. So you're
And
aiming
he's a
for
little bit overconfident because he thinks he can cut magic.
Hey, with
That's
youth
fair,
comes you're new to this part of the world, I suppose. With youth comes ignorance. So you can line up your shot, you can try and swing for it and go for it, yeah.
Okay.
Can I use Bardic Inspiration before he... Oh,
I'll give it to you on the next one for
21.
your turn. I'm gonna come
Yep.
to you after Hatsu anyway, so.
that's fine.
21. It definitely hits, yeah. Make your damage roll.
Counts as monk weapon if that helps. It's magic.
Interesting. Does it help? I wonder.
I hope so. It's a 4.
4. You swing, and like the sword goes straight through, and the head becomes loose and untethered. It begins to roll off the neck, and then just stops as if being held by a thread. And the skin begins to latch onto itself and pulls the head back upright.
Within that second,
Okay.
alright? Within that second, he makes his cut, and up comes the left hand, and he goes
Monk strike. Go ahead.
for a flurry of blows. And what looks like just one hand turns into 2 that seem to hit at exactly the same time.
Go ahead and give me your boof boof.
It says I can't spend for whatever reason.
Just do a normal unarmed strike if it's there. It's okay.
Yeah, I do too. So this is the first one. With an 8.
Okay. Go ahead for the second one.
I guess one of the hands are missing.
It's right behind it.
And a 15.
As you go to swing at this thing, you go to hit the head, and the first shot just goes straight in to the actual head. You pull your hand back out. It's fucking disgusting. You go in for the second punch, and this one definitely does damage. You feel it. You feel the impact as the head splits open. Inside it, you just see what looks like the remnants of a skull, withered and worn. As it comes back together and unified, and it lets out this... It echoes through the woods.
Does that do damage? Do I have the feeling
Roll damage for me.
I crushed something? 5.
So, as you impact it, you feel all of that, and you pull your hand back, and the creature just stands there for a moment, unknowing if it's alive or dead. It is incapacitated of sorts. Slate.
From I don't know how long I've been there. Obviously, I've just arrived. The wolves are standing. This is going on. Am I aware that thus far the creature seems to be very much sound activated? You know, when people move towards it, it turns and pivots. Have I seen any of that in what's happening? Have I seen that it's reactive to sound?
I'm not sure if that has come up since Slate has been in presence of it. I know that that's what Richard has
Yep.
Established. I don't know that Slate would have established that yet. Definitely sees this happening. It seems quite focused on Madriana. Last you saw Hatsu cut his head off and this all happened. You saw all of that, but probably not the initial point of this. Yeah.
So from my last encounter when I tried to use the rapier with Dash, it didn't go so well. So this way I'm going to try something different. I'm going to run at the creature with the rapier, but my plan is as I'm running along, well, I actually don't know if I can do what I want to do. I'll tell you what I want to do for flavor, and you can tell me if you can allow it under the boon of, you know, dexterity advantage. What I effectively want to do is rush the creature for an attack with the rapier, but I want to almost Ant-Man style change my form to my smallest possible and try and slide under it while I hit it with the sword on the way through. That's basically what I want to do.
I don't know if your change shape takes an action or anything. You might have to check that.
I think it does. That's why I said for flavor, it's more dexterity.
Okay.
You know.
I'll give it to you. I'll give you disadvantage on the attack roll, and that'll balance everything. How's that? That's your action to change shape. You're moving in. This is not something that Slate has done before, but if this pays off, it's pretty sick. So I want to go with the rule of cool for this. So go ahead. You can make the attack with disadvantage. As you're changing shape, sliding, and you've got your sword out, like ready to guillotine this creature. Gonna go with 3 being a no. But I'm not gonna say that you missed. So you went through and you cut the creature, but you can see that the wound begins to slowly heal all the way down. That was not expected by Slate. I'll also say that a lot of that stuff just dripped on you and stuff as you went through, which is just gross.
Lovely.
As a thing of for flair and the idea that we're starting to get this group together as a cohesive group, as I see Slate do that, as he passes through and comes out the other side, and Madriana grabs his hand and like yanks him up, like you know that kind of like when it's like you grab the hand and you pull him up straight kind of thing.
Madriana and a mini Madriana are there. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
For my talk action, I want to say, "What the fuck is this?" and also turn to the werewolves and go, "What are you guys doing?"
There's like a shake and they start coming in. Yeah, it's absolutely. That's just yeah.
At this point, would Eos have heard a commotion?
At this point, I would say so. You've heard the scream twice. You know what direction it's coming from if you want to head that way.
She's briskly going in that direction. Again, keeping aware of distance from the badger.
Her main priority. Yeah, no, absolutely. No problem.
Awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I'm going to come back to Madriana.
Okay, we're gonna try this again because seems like it needs to happen. Rapier. Let's go. 14.
Okay.
Did that? Well, should I roll damage?
All of them have hit. So go ahead.
Oh, okay.
Slate's 3 hit.
Okay, so the normal damage is 4, but I don't know how to activate the sneak attack.
I think if you click it, it'll roll it, but if it doesn't, because the macro I haven't actually checked, it should just roll it for you though. 1.
Oh,
okay,
great.
it is. All right, so 5 damage.
5 points of damage. My intention is to keep this creature's focus on me.
Okay, so the creature is kind of in this sort of dazed state, so you capitalize on it and you just slam the sword through it, trying to keep its focus on you. You twist and pull back. The creature still seems to just feel none of this, but it is responding in a way that would indicate that you are harming it in some way, shape, or form.
Okay.
Atsu.
As he has the impression that something might have worked and he's still in the mood of cutting magic, he swings the sword around overhead, grabs the second hand, tries to slash off the head again.
Okay. You can make the swing with your sword, which I believe is your monk weapon as well, right? That's what you were saying earlier. Yeah.
16 and some damage. 6.
Nice.
And he follows up with he's slashing from overhead, going through, turning around, back fist with the right, follows up with the straight fist into the fucking face with the left.
Hell yeah. Make the attacks.
Mark off the thingy.
Cool. Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
Strike 16. I have to roll the damage here. That's a 7. And another one. That is a 23.
Mm-hmm.
And do other damage from that one, okay.
I mean, Adriana just looks at her and goes, "You
That's
really
a
need to work
7.
on that first punch."
He does like the 2-second punch, like the 1-second punches or whatever it's called. Yeah. So as you do that, Hatsu, you connect, and again you see that skull. There's a little eyeball within it that glances towards you, of this humanoid skull within it. And as it does, from the skin of this thing emerges a massive cloud of gas. Hatsu, Adriana, and Slate, I need Constitution saving throws from you, please.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you can roll for Badger.
I don't want to roll this.
Oh, that's good enough.
It's a 16 from Hatsu.
Natural 20.
Ooh.
6
Nice.
from Slate.
Okay. So Slate, you immediately feel as the veins tighten. First it starts in your nose, then your face, then your neck. You may not take an action nor a bonus action. But when I get to your turn, you may roll at the end of it to determine if you can beat this. The rest of you succeeded.
I'd like to think the reason that Adriana succeeded on this particularly was because her mask actually
I was
covered
going to
it,
say, yeah, the mask. Yeah, it's very fitting.
so that it couldn't get through.
Unintentional pun. The mask is also very fitting, but yeah.
Yes.
It's also, the situation was very fitting.
And in Slate's case, having the least time to watch it and having just arrived
Being
made a massive
small-
blunder.
Yeah, being small lungs, you just take it in, you know?
I was thinking he was too low down. The gas
Yeah.
went down and just like
Hit him.
smothered him.
Yeah. Slate, it is your turn, so I'll get you to make another con saving throw, please. And please succeed. Just as a request from your DM. No big deal.
Better.
17.
17.
You suddenly breathe out and the green gas pops from your lungs, and as you do, you just shake it off. That could have been a lot worse had it stayed in your system for much longer. That technically ends your turn, Slate, so I'm going to go to Eos, who just sees the group standing around this creature, absolutely trying to beat the shit out of it.
Perfect. Clean and simple. Subtle spell, Chaos Bolt. 120 feet.
Sure. Doesn't have to be subtle. Sure.
Oh, there's reason for subtle in this situation.
Okay.
He doesn't want to scare the badger.
Badger just bites. If it's anything like my cat.
Public normal, yeah.
Just remember that the Chaos Bolt is still visible even if subtle spell is cast. You understand
That's
that, right? Okay.
Yeah.
30-20, definitely. Go ahead.
30-20, that's... Yeah, still normal. That's fine. Let's go. 19?
Yeah.
Did you get?
That's not damage though. That's your... You need to roll damage for the Chaos Bolt. It's a ranged spell attack. Deals 2d8 plus 1d6. So you have to roll 2d8 plus 1d6.
Okay. Strange. I was assuming it would...
So you have a dirty 20, and you just do it manually if it's not giving you the option there on the
It
spell.
doesn't give me the option.
Just do it manually. It's okay. It's because you're not targeting something, but that's okay. We're not in an active...
What am I rolling again?
2d8, 1d6.
Okay. 8 plus a d6. Maths. Let's go. Maths is in my favor. Alright.
So with Chaos Bolt...
Don't work off subtle.
but just take a look at Chaos Bolt, because the 2d8 determine what type of damage you got. So you got an 8 and a 6. So they should determine the energy you're using. That should be in the full spell there on your sheet.
Okay. 1 second.
You're
There's a
okay.
lot of things opening. Alright, so... do 2d8 plus 6. And what did I end up with? Okay, the chart I'm giving does not correlate to what I'm looking at.
You got 1 damage and 8 and a 6 for your
Okay.
energy
Yeah.
types.
8 and a 6.
It's a-
So 8 is
unfortunately,
thunder
the
and
chart
6 is
doesn't-
poison.
Yeah.
The chart is on your sheet. I'm looking at it. So it's 8 and 6, which is thunder and poison. The 8 and the 6 correlate with thunder and poison, and then you did, I believe, There we go. So 8, 6, and 1. Gotcha. So this impacts the creature. It slams into the creature. There's no response from it, but there is like everybody just goes like this for just a second because of the flash that hits it. Again, the creature responds as if it wasn't hit by anything, but you guys can see this gaping hole that it was created by the impact as it fuses back together once again.
Damn it. Okay.
This would be Madriana.
Was Hatsu, between all these different attacks, was Hatsu the only one that saw the skull?
Question. I would say you'd probably have seen it because you were pretty much directly one-to-one engaging it, so I'll say you can see it too. Yeah.
Could be a stupid idea. Madriana's gonna reach, like, put her hand through the creature, grab the skull, and try to pull the skull out.
Okay. This would be a straight strength check, unless you're doing it with something that I'm not aware of.
Can I argue that because of my speed and agility, that it's more of a, you know, the rip the heart out thing, you know, the kind of thing. So yeah. I'm trying to do this quick rather than strength.
The reason that it's
sense.
Strength based is because you have to disconnect it from the spine that it's attached to.
That's fair. That's fair.
So that's why I'm leaning into strength. So it is a strength check, but yeah, it's a strength check. Yeah.
Okay. At the least, I want to grab it. Like, even if my arm's still there for a second, I'm trying to grab it.
Okay, so if you fail, you're still holding on. Got it.
Yeah. It's an 8.
8. So you definitely have a good grip on it, a firm grip as the skin sort of tightens around your hand. But it is, it's still attached. It's not enough to just separate that. You feel like it's willing to give. There's just something holding on to it. But I will say that Hatsu, you can also see what she's doing, and it is your turn. So.
And I was gonna say,
absolutely. he's gonna see what Madriana's doing, and his next slice will be another cut of the head right under the part where Madriana is holding it onto.
Okay. So you can make your attack roll for me with the Kasajova.
Natural 20.
yeah!
So I'm going to do something I've never had the pleasure of doing, but this is a very exciting thing for me. I would like Madriana and Hatsu to tell me how this goes.
So essentially, from Madriana's point, she sees what Hatsu's trying to do. She has a sword in this hand, as I said, she pulled out with her left, and she just reaches in, straight in through the top of this thing, and she's gonna put her little finger and her thumb essentially in the eye sockets and grab the cranium, and she's pulling this way, stretching that neck out nice and long so that Hatsu can...
Talk to me, Hatsu.
Hatsu puts all his spiritual might into the sword, just like he did with when he cut off the bracelets from Slate. He tries to reach that moment of Zen and that very second, and he feels how the sword is vibrating as it would emit a little bit of wind, and he goes straight through the throat, cuts down the spine, and with that rotation he makes like a roundhouse kick and kicks away the body.
Okay. So, Madriana, you reach in, you grab this skull. Hatsu, you cut, keep spinning, whirling shadow style, kick the body. And with that, the body goes, the head comes loose. And Madriana, as you hold it in your hand, you look down, and the ooze itself begins to melt from the body. It's the body that's there. All you see is the remains of a human body. They are melted as if something had been like as in acid on a metal, like it looks worn away and destroyed. There's no skin left to it, there's no organs, there's just that the eye itself flips out from the skull, landing on the ground, The ooze itself spreads along the ground. You all instinctively step back from it as it withers away the terrain around it. The wolves here with you, they are looking like above you, looking down at this as it destroys the grass in the area that's there, but it does stop spreading at some point, and just everything within that confine wilts, dies, decays, but everything beyond it is still safe.
That was something of oozing dark magic that doesn't belong here. Was that the thing you were talking about? And he's looking over to Wulver.
Wulver has just got here now, and he nods. Yeah.
I tried to talk to it, but it doesn't seem to respond sentient. It was very driven by lower instincts, I would say.
The smell from that creature and whatever it was giving off made it very difficult for myself, and I would imagine my kin, to even approach it. It was very overpowering, and it smelt beyond decay, beyond toxic. I've smelt a much lower form of this in you. And he points towards Slate.
Wow. I throw the skull towards Wulver. Can you smell, is that one of your kin?
Steps
or
back
one of the
from
villagers?
It, like instinctively steps back from it and looks down. As he's sort of looking at it, he takes a deep breath, and you can see that it's almost overpowering in itself. That smell of decay and everything is still here. You would need to take this back home. It's too difficult to get anything from here. There'd be
I'll
a
walk over and I'll
clear...
pick it back up then.
Sure. There'd be a clear migraine on Wulver, and as you look around at the other wolves, they also have this very similar expression of like the same as when you get that overwhelming migraine. Your eyes can barely stay open, the light hurts, everything is pain.
Seeing that, and as I've walked over to pick up the skull in front of Wulver, she'll turn her back to Wulver and she'll use her wings to essentially like waft away as much of that kind of fumey smell.
Right into Slate's face, yeah. Yeah.
Suck it up. You should be used to it. You're one of them.
You managed
essentially-
It might also be useful information that performed something like an attack that is very akin to what mushrooms do to spread the mycelium. It was something spory, fumarous smoke that tried to possess the body. It's almost like something tried to grab onto myself. Just that you were aware of. It was very close.
I'm sorry that on your first night here, this is the experience that you all had, but I appreciate that you were here. I'm not sure how that would have gone had it just been us.
I'm just sorry for the deer that it robbed.
Wulver in his humanoid form looks to the wolves and just go home. They all begin to make their way back, not in a sprint, but in a walk, and each of them takes their humanoid form and slowly makes their way back to the village.
I asked for a hunt. I got a hunt. I'm happy.
I'd like to do two things in the background. I'd like to use... I've got a whole pile of different tools with me, tinkerer's tools, cook's utensils, whatever. I want to use them to dig a piece of soil and put it into a container, basically, to like a sample, basically, that we can take samples from. So like, I think it's like filling a lunchbox, basically.
The tools
So
that
I'm
you
not-
use to lift it, the metal begins
Yeah.
to burn and wither, but you do manage to get a sample locked into a small case that it seems to be contained within this metal, sort of heavier metal case that you have. It's contained for now, for sure. It doesn't. It did do a number on the tools that you would have chosen to use for that, though. Next time you're at a
So-
village, you may need to replace some of those tools, okay?
Yeah, so I'm going to say, like I use, like I said, the cook's utensils,
Sure.
ladles, that type of stuff, because you can pick or dig with it, you know?
Yeah.
Cool. So, based on that, I don't think I will cast Identify on it because that involves me physically touching it, which is going to be my next question. So I'm glad I led with a little tester. Just
Yeah. I
gonna say
tend to avoid touching things that I don't understand quite, so that's usually not my go-to, but you're free to do what you see fit.
I'm going to say to everybody else, look, I can't identify this. It's too dangerous to touch, and I'd have to touch it for a duration of 10 minutes, and I don't think that would go well. So I'm taking this back for research. I'm going to hand it to Hatsu for the bag for safekeeping.
As soon as Slate says about, I'm not going to touch this, and Madriana immediately looks at her glove and just rips it off because it's probably starting to just about get to her skin, and like just throws it off. I don't know who's vigilant here. Only you know people's passives, but they may or may not gleam
just be
her
Hatsu.
hand. Just Hatsu? Okay, well then Hatsu sees... Well, he wouldn't be surprised because he's seen more than most anyway, but it's a crystal white, like a very pale white, long-fingered, like, hand. Not like Nosferatu long, but like, you know, lean hand, lean fingers.
And
that kind of white, hasn't been touched by the sun kind of skin.
As he would acknowledge that, he would gently step in front of Madriana, so it's a little bit covered. And he would say, maybe I should teach you how to cover your hands and weapons with ki. That's way better than touching things like this. And by saying that, he collects his shuriken.
Okay. Oh yeah, add it to yourself. The shuriken is damaged but usable. Madriana, the glove is damaged. Hatsu, your gloves are damaged. Slate, your armor is damaged. For all intents and purposes, it should have burnt you, Slate. It landed on your skin, but it doesn't hurt you, not even for a second. There's not even a remnant of it on your flesh. Just the armor.
With the ground and the sample where I've taken the sample, it's still on the ground and seeping into the ground and all of that. For a test, I'd like to. I have like a Horn of Gondor horn in my bag. I want to, because having seen them disassemble it and the carcass underneath and all of that type of stuff, I want to blow the loud horn in very close proximity to it. Just, you know, like a venom symbiote test type idea.
You blow the horn, and it makes a loud sound, and the wolves just, like, they're in humanoid form, but they turn around ready for attack. But the horn, as it blows, does not awaken anything or change anything in this sort of environment that you're in.
Yeah, no effect on what the remnants of it.
No.
So, I suppose having had it on me, I'd be cleaning off my armor and watching everybody else taking off the gloves or whatever. I'd probably be acutely aware that I've actually touched it and got it on me, and I should be, in a way that I'm not damaged. Like my armor is damaged, but my skin is not.
Yeah. As you guys start to make your way back to the town, the moonlight cascading through the trees, there's a sense of thankfulness that didn't go worse, because it sure could have. There's also a sense of confusion. What was that? Why was it here? about 50 million other questions that I know my players will ask me and not get any answers to other than ask me in session. But most pertinently, and most importantly, that wraps our session for this evening. We will pick this up. Go ahead.
Before we do that, because I'm going to ask this to leave it for next week.
Okay.
Knowing that I wanted to do identify, worried that it was going to hurt me, then the realization that it doesn't seem to hurt my skin, what I will do is remove any gloves, etc., and physically touch it with my form to cast identify to find out as much information as I can, because I can ritually cast it. So I will do that later on. That's my plan.
Okay.
As we're walking back or whatever, you know.
We can definitely approach that at the beginning of the next session. Make a note for yourself, because I will for sure forget that that's the last thing we left off on. Every week I'm like, what did we stop on? Are we like back at Dagthorpe? Where are we? I'm always like 10 weeks behind in my head. But for now, go ahead.
I was going to say, as a point to note as well, Majorana would have grabbed a bit of cloth or something to wrap her hands so that they're not...
I would imagine that you're just hiding it in some way and it's not just exposed, We will pick up from here next week. I have to apologize that the last session wasn't uploaded until today. It has been a very difficult week for a lot of us. My pupper Harley passed away, and we are very sad, and we needed a little bit of time and space, so I appreciate it. Everyone in Discord was nice and supportive. Everyone was really nice and friendly, and we do appreciate it. I have the episodes uploaded. I have the podcasts uploaded for the last few weeks. Everything's done and ready to go, and this one will be up on time as scheduled. But I thank you guys for your patience. We will be back next week. We will be picking up from here, and what should hopefully, assuming everything goes well, sort of bookend and close this leg of the journey. We'll be back, Mr. Kean, next week, hopefully as well. Thank you all for joining us. We love you very much. We're going to have a post show, I believe. It's a short one, little wrap up. We'll be back in just a few minutes, 4 or 5 minutes, and then we'll have like a few minute discussion of just to kind of bring us back around. Those of you who are listening to podcasts and stuff, this is the end. Those of you watching on YouTube, there's a separate video, but those of you on Twitch, stick with us. We'll be back shortly. Thank you so much. Bye.